folks, and welcome to the Joe Morley Sports Show here on YouTube. If you don't know me, I am Joe Morley. I run the JoeMorleySports.com on Instagram, Facebook. Go check that out. Today, we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and the 2020 season preview. You should have some excitement if you're a Cardinal fan. You should be excited of what's going to happen or where this team is going. I think it's going in the right direction, and I'll show you a little bit of stuff here to prove my point and let you guys know. Just to let you guys know, if you don't like anything I say and you don't agree with me, maybe I missed something, maybe I said something that you didn't like, let me know down below. I like I said, sports talk is good talk. If maybe I missed something about your team, and or maybe you saw something that I didn't see, bring it to my attention. Let me know, but back it up with stats, and that's what I like. I like when people bring stats to me, and that's the main goal. And then you change my mind, and we're good, because that's what sports talk is about. Nobody's ever wrong. We just have different opinions, and that's a good thing and a great thing about sports. So here's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Kliff Kingsbury. Last year, 5-10-1. The first week one game was a tie. He was the head coach at Texas Tech before he was fired after 6 seasons with a 35-40 record. He did go to and take a job at UCLA, and he was going to work at UCLA until the Arizona Cardinal job came open. So he had to quit that and go over there. He was the quarterback. If you guys remember, he actually played football and played college football at Texas Tech. He was a quarterback under Mike Leach. He played college football with Wes Welker was his quarterback. And then he was actually drafted by the New England Patriots in 2003, if you remember that. But that's a little of his background, so you guys know. He's supposed to be an offensive genius, and you can tell that if you watch some of the games last year and you watch the Texas Tech, he's an offensive innovator, basically, is what they say. Last year they struggled a little bit. It's going to happen. I mean, it's a young team, young talent. The offense seemed like it got better, and it's what I like about this offense, and what we'll see more and more of it as the players learn it and get used to it and get in shape to it, is this offense. Like, if you watch it, it looks like it gets shut down at the beginning of the game, and then all of a sudden it picks up and it makes that defense tired. And I think that's the goal, and I think that's what Kliff Kingsbury is probably trying to do. I might be wrong, but it looks to me like, okay, it might not work here, it might not work, but it's going to start working. It's going to start working, and guess what? We're going to run you and run you and run you until you're tired, and that defense will wear down, and that's when we're going to score our points. And that's what it kind of looks like it's doing. And if you watch any games, that's what it looked like. It looked like Arizona came back in the second half like a lot of times, and they might have not won all the games, but they were in a lot of games. I mean, they gave San Francisco a run for their money on a Thursday night, right? Or was it? I believe it was Thursday night. It was like a Halloween game, something like that. So they gave some top teams some trouble, and I believe that's going to only it's only going to get better for Arizona, I would say. So their passing game will get there. They've added people. Their rushing game, I mean, look, they were 10th, and they had nothing for the first 8 games with David Johnson there. So they had nothing. So they struggled. The offense struggled in the red zone, which is okay. You're going to happen. You have a rookie quarterback. You're going to struggle a little bit. So it's going to happen. David Johnson was, like I said, had a hard time. They had a couple. They brought in a couple veterans on defense that really didn't turn out to be good, or some of the guys got hurt, so that kind of hurt. Third downs was horrible. The offense couldn't get them, and the defense couldn't get off the field on third down. So they're going to work on that. But like I said, and you can read it at the bottom, the offense got better with the addition of Kenyon Drake. So I see them going up. I see them moving up. Here's your quarterback, Kyle Murray, the first overall pick last year's draft. He played all 16 games as a starter. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, but almost 65% completion. So you got to like that as a Cardinal fan. You're not going to like the 12 interceptions. Hey, it's learning curve, right? You're going to have that learning curve. You want to get the touchdowns up a little bit, especially in this offense. You would think that it would go up, but if you're going to give it to Drake and Drake's going to run it all day and score those, either way, as long as you're scoring, right? Murray also took off for 544 yards. That's what's good about him, is he's mobile and he's not just sitting there in the pocket. But he also got sacked 48 times, and that's not something you like to see a rookie quarterback do. You don't like to see him take those hits. Some of them could have been his fault, because he is a mobile quarterback. Maybe sometimes he's holding on to the ball too long, and he doesn't get rid of it because he's always trying to make that play. And I'll take that. I'll take the guy who's trying to make the play, right? Over a guy who's just holding it, and because he's scared to throw it or scared to make the mistake. Kyle Murray doesn't seem like that guy. He doesn't seem like he's scared to make the mistake. He wants to make the play, and so maybe he makes the mistake because he holds on to it trying to make a play, and there's a difference. So you got to be happy with what he did his rookie season. You got to be. Here's your superstars on the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald. Everybody knows him. 75 catches last year, 804 yards, 4 TDs. He last year, I thought he was going to have a better year. He had the first 2 games of the season, he had 100 yards, and then after that, nothing. He never went over 100 yards again. I don't even think he went over 70 again. So they're going to have to get him more involved, and I think that had to do with the rookie quarterback, with not having a run game. I think that's what defense were able to just key in on him, and they're not going to be able to do it this year because of the guy right there in the middle, DeAndre Hopkins, who's coming over from the Houston Texans. And I bet he's delightful. I bet he won't say it, but he is so probably happy to come over and play with a quarterback like Kyle Murray. After all he had Deshaun Watson the last couple of years, but the quarterbacks he's had in Houston over his career, horrible, right? So, DeAndre Hopkins, 104 catches last year, 1,165 yards, 7 TDs. And he's only, in 7 seasons in the NFL, he's only not gone over 1,000 yards 2 times. I think one time he was like 985, so he was right there. But Brock Osweiler, come on. That was his quarterback at one time. Tom Savage. He didn't have the greatest quarterbacks down there, so to put up the numbers that he puts up and the unbelievable catches that he does, Larry Fitzgerald was a top 3 receiver in the game at one point. He's now on the downside of his career, but he's still a valuable possession receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be that guy that raises it up, and so DeAndre Hopkins should be your number 1. Larry Fitzgerald should be the number 2. A lot of people won't believe that because they're still high on Larry Fitzgerald. But Larry Fitzgerald's going to be your possession guy. He's going to be the guy that goes and gets those first down. He's going to the go-to guy when you need a big play is going to be Larry Fitzgerald because everybody's going to go after Hopkins, and it's going to improve the offense even more. Chandler Jones, what a player, right? Chandler Jones, I think it's unbelievable how many people don't know who Chandler Jones is in the NFL. And you could bring, like when you talk about the best pass rushers in the NFL, good football fans and most football fans should know who this guy is, and not a lot of people do. 19 sacks last year, 19 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 8 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 26 quarterbacks hits, and 53 tackles from Chandler Jones on the worst defense in the league. You're telling me the absolutely worst defense in the league had a guy who had 19 sacks. 19 sacks on the worst defense in the league with absolutely basically no help because he's the only one providing everything. He's the only one putting pressure on, and nobody else is helping him, and he had 19 sacks. So you improve that defense just a little bit. You give this guy just a little bit of help. How great is he going to be? How great of a player is he going to be? If you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, this is the jersey that you should be having. This is the guy that you should be promoting. This is the guy that should be everywhere. This is your franchise player right here. This guy, hands down, top 5, top 3 defensive player in the league, and probably doesn't get recognized for it. Here's the draft pick. They surprised people with the Isaiah Simmons pick. Not saying it's not a bad pick. It's just it was a surprise just because, one, Simmons fell to number 8 when people were projecting him to go number 3. And then, a lot of people thought they would go offensive tackle because there was offensive tackles available and top offensive tackles. And like I said, Murray was sacked 48 times. But when you got a guy like Simmons and you think he's a game changer, you got to take him. And I mean, help the offensive line or help the worst defense in the league. Either way, right? I mean, you can't go wrong because both of them are hurting you. Both hurt the team. So you might as well go get Simmons. It looks like they're going to play him at linebacker. And that was the issue with Simmons, and that's why he dropped a little bit to number 8. Wow, you dropped to 8, right? Still went top 10. But that was the issue is where teams wanted to play him. And So it was either safety, linebacker. Some people might have put him at DN, but I think linebacker is going to be the right spot for him, especially right now. Josh Jones, he's going to be. I like the pick. I think that was a great pick in the third round. I think that's going to help out. I like the 2 defensive tackles. Weaver, we're going to have to see about. And Benjamin, I think he's just a running back that's going to be there, and he might do something, but I think he's just going to be one of those camp guys. But the 2 defensive tackles could make a difference, and that's what I like. But Josh Jones, he could possibly be a starter within, the next year or so. Here's your projected offensive depth chart, and you can see that we already put Josh Jones right there at the starting right tackle position, which should help out a little bit. Sweezy needs to get going, and this is the problem. The offensive line was a problem, and 48 sacks. Come on. So these big guys have to get it together, and maybe gelling together, getting to work together. Let's try to do it. Max Williams, I'm not sold there. I mean, just another. The old Baltimore receiver. He really didn't do nothing in Baltimore. Only had like 200 yards this year or last year. I don't know. I don't think the offense really goes to tight ends, but he needs to do something. If you're on the field, you need to do something, right? Drake, Kenyon Drake. You guys know what he can do. He loved that. He came from the Miami where he was only got like 20 yards a game. Came over here and just blew it up, right? I think he finished in 8 games with Arizona, 643 yards, 8 touchdowns, 171 catching yards. So he did good. Deandre Hopkins already talked about. He's going to be good. Larry Fitzgerald, we already talked about. Hall of Famer. Christian Kirk. To have Christian Kirk as your number 3 wide receiver is amazing. This guy could be a number 2, possibly a number 1 on a lot of other teams. Last year, he might have struggled. I don't know if he was struggling to learn the offense or if something else was going on, but last year he had, he had 3 touchdowns and 709 yards receiving, but 138 of those yards and 3 of those touchdowns came in one game against Tampa Bay, and that's when I know when I was playing fantasy football, I was like, "Ooh, Kurt's on. He's coming back. He's coming back now," and then all of a sudden, it was like he went back to being the same stuff. So hopefully they can get him going. Andy Isabella, I was hoping for a lot more out of him last year. Just because of his quick speed and stuff. But like I said, it was the first year for Kingsbury. It was first year offense, first year for Murray in the league. So getting these guys going, getting these guys to learn the offense, getting these guys to learn the system, and it's a complex system for most people. Not like mentally, but the fast pace, the movement that they're doing. That's what it is, and that's what's going to get people going. So I think this offense should be improving. And like I said, I think it's a wear down offense that's going to wear people down. Now here's a defense. I don't know. Have they improved a little bit? Do I think they're still going to be the last in the league? I'm not sure. They picked up Phillips from the Bills. He had 9.5 sacks last year, but you got to think: is Jordan Phillips going to go back to being the Jordan Phillips from the when he was played for the Miami Dolphins, or be the one that had a career year last year and then benefited of the big contract? So hopefully he can see what happens with him. They end up picking up Devon Kennard. Great pickup, right, from Detroit. 7 sacks last year. So he did pretty good. Let's see. Who else you want to talk about? Hicks. Hicks is probably one. Hicks and Budda Baker are probably the best. I already talked about Chandler. Chandler Jones is your elite defensive player. He's at the top. And then right below him is Budda Baker and Jordan Hicks, right? So those are your next guys. Jordan Hicks had 150 tackles last year, 3 interceptions. Budda Baker had 147 tackles. Patrick Peterson is on the downside of his career. He was one of the greatest. He's still a solid cornerback, don't get me wrong, but he only played 10 games last year, so he's going to have to get it together. Zach Allen played 4 games last year. He didn't really do much. So these guys are going to have to step up. We'll see what Isaiah Simmons can do. So the guy I like is that I think, and he's a second string right now, is Devondre Campbell. And they signed him, I think, early. But he's coming from the Atlanta Falcons, where he was a leading tackler on that defense over there. So you got a tackling machine right there. So the defense has some people they could play around with to get better, and that's what they need. They just need to get better, get together, and at least help that offense out a little bit. And maybe that offense will stay on the field a little bit longer, and they won't have to be as tired as they normally are. Here's your schedule. Start off right out the bat. Hey, let's go division rival 49ers, right? Go up there and play them. I think then you get a little bit easier. The Redskins, Lions, Panthers, Jets, all probably winnable games right there, right? Even the Niner game. I mean, division games are always good, so they have a chance. I'm not saying they will, but they have a chance, a pretty good chance, at going 5-0 to start the season. They could. I'm not saying they will, but that's the talent that I see Arizona at. They're right there in the middle where they can go this way, they can go that way. They can go be a bottom team, they can be a top team, but they just have to improve a little bit more. And I think that's what they're on the right track. I think they're on the right track. Play the Cowboys in prime time, Seahawks. Then they got their bye. Dolphins, Bills, Seahawks, Patriots, Rams, Giants, Eagles, 49ers. So I think this is a pretty easy schedule for them. I'm not saying it's the easiest schedule. I'm just saying it's a pretty easy schedule. It lines up pretty good for them. They don't really have a lot of the top teams. They have solid teams, but not top teams. You know what I mean? They're not getting stuck with a bunch of back and forth teams. So it looks like it's going to be a good, easy schedule for Arizona. That's why my prediction, I'm going to put them at 8-8. I like them at that position. That's just me. I like them at 8-8. I still think I put them at third in their division, right behind San Francisco and Seattle. I think I had them missing the playoffs in that. But, one or two games that go their way, like I said, if it maybe they start that 5-0 and they get that momentum going and they go 12-4. But then I can also see them drop it. I don't see them being as bad as last year. No way. I can't see it. I can't see them being like 2 or 3 win team. This is a way better team, and this is a much improved team than even last year, and way better than 2 years ago, right? And so I'm going to go with 8-8. This is their salary cap status for this year. They know they still got to get the rookies under the deal. They could do that. They got $64 million to deal with next year, plus, add the differences that they come in and add in more when they raise the salary caps, depending on the TV deals and stuff like that. But your free agents are going to be Patrick Paterson, Larry Fitzgerald, and Kenyon Drake. You got to see what you're going to do with those. But with $64 million, they could probably fit them under the cap. I don't see them having an issue. They could probably get another offensive lineman if they need it next year, or another defensive line. So they could do some things. I think Arizona is an improved team, and don't get me wrong. I think they're right here, and I think maybe they are better than Seattle. I think they are right here, and I'm still giving Seattle the benefit of the doubt just because of the history. But 8-8 has to be good. You have to be happy with 8-8 after a 5-10-1 season, right? You would have to be. That's improvement. Improvement is all you need to see in young teams. Improvement, and then your wins will come. Another big guy that I think they added is not even a player. It's a coach, right? And that's Brenston Buckner, the defensive line coach. He's coming over from the Raiders. You guys saw what he did in Oakland, it was Oakland last year when he was coach. He got that defensive line going. He got those young rookies in Oakland just tearing it up and going after the balls. He got replaced and the reason he's not in Oakland anymore is because basically they got a once-in-a-lifetime deal of getting, Rob Marinelli up there, who is John Gruden's best friend and one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. So they found an upgrade, or else he would still be coaching in Oakland or Las Vegas now. But that's the guy you're going to watch. And Arizona fans, watch him on the sidelines. That's the coach you're going to fall in love with. Buckner is a player's coach, but he don't take no crap. And if you watched Hard Knocks last year, he let people know, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to play the ball, and then we're going to get to the quarterback. So that's going to be your upgrade. Anyways, that's my 2020 team preview of the Arizona Cardinals. Tell me what you like, what you dislike, what I missed, what you didn't like, what I didn't hit on. I mean, let's talk sports, guys. Let's talk Arizona Cardinals. You can also go to my website, joemorleysports.com, listen to any of my podcasts on anything that's available. Find me on Instagram, YouTube. I'm all there. All right, guys, stay healthy.